Hello. I've been asked by two people this morning, and they asked me, how free is free will? The reason I'm doing a video because it takes so many words to describe it. First of all, this question cannot be known by the mind, and there is no way that the mind can ever understand it. But there's a way around it by getting it through the heart, by intuitively perceiving it. You see? And this way, there are two things that are necessary to understand. One is that your true nature is unconditional love, and I'll try to prove it now. And two, the greatest statement of Source, the universal that which is. That statement is, thy will be done. By understanding these two, how free is free will be very, very clear to you. Okay, let's take the first one, which is, of course, that your true nature is unconditional love. It is the very light of your soul. I've experienced the light a few times. But it wasn't the last 6 months, to tell you the truth, that I've done a lot of research on it and have learned so much about it. You see, what has happened is that quite recently, medical science has discovered techniques of resuscitation. This means that people who have, let's say, cardiac arrest, they would go flatlined, the heart would stop, the brain will go dead, even up to 8 hours. And they can be resuscitated, as has been proven in many, many cases. And because of this, people have been coming back from their death, stating stories that have boggled the mind, staggered the imagination. But it's a fact. In fact, now there is an organization called IANDS. It spells IANDS, which is International Association of Near-Death Stories. And they've done a lot of research. Thousands and thousands of cases have been reported to them. Cases that were unable to talk about it because everybody who experienced it thought it was crazy to tell it to anybody. In fact, most married people who have gone through this resuscitation and came back to tell their story, they found that their marriage did not last because either the spouses, the wife or husband would not understand. Okay, people ordinarily do not talk about it, but now this association, the IANDS, is researching it and has found thousands and thousands. In fact, they have reported cases as far as 13 million. Now, right now, they've come out and reported their own experience. And the IANDS, of course, is very particular about getting the real cream of the story. But now there's two things that are very outstanding about these IANDS experiences of these millions of people who have come back from the dead, so to speak. One, they've been transformed, all of them. And two, they know that their true nature is unconditional love. So when you know that your nature is unconditional love, then you'll know that it is everything you want, everything you need, everything you crave. But of course, psychology has never known it. Psychiatrists did not know it. As a matter of fact, when somebody told the story to psychiatrists, they put them in isolation and they gave them drugs because they thought they were so sick. You see, but now people are beginning to understand. Many physicists are beginning to understand. Medical authorities are waking up to the fact that there is a heaven and there is God. In fact, what is called unconditional love is the source of all life, of all universe. When we talk about God, this is not an entity. This is simply the source itself, so loving, so complete, which is the very being itself. You see? And the love is so great in the light that many people say, if you love your husband or wife and children very much, multiply it by 1,000 times, and then you begin to get an idea of how loving this unconditional love is, the light is. But then again, you see, we live in a body which is subject to time and space, subject to the time, to the mind, in other words. And the mind can only understand that which is in time and space. What they come back transformed as, they know that there's only the present. Not the past, not the future, the present. Never altering, the present. Eternally, everlastingly so, but then you don't even need to say eternal and infinite. Because the moment you hear the present, you know it had no beginning and no end. And that is what people come back with, that knowing. Another knowing is that thy will be done. But we'll talk about that a little later. Let's keep on talking about your truth as the light, unconditional love. You see, when people suffer guilt, shame, fear, depression, anxiety, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's negative, you have gone out of alignment with unconditional love, which is your true nature, called your soul, your very being. And so you begin to crave it and want it. But what happens is that there's a lot of frustration with this, even though they begin to glimpse that their nature is unconditional love, is that they ask, well, why aren't I loved unconditionally? Why don't I get it? Not realizing that unconditional love is a oneness. And this means that you love yourself unconditionally, so that when you feel frustration, you feel anxiety, you feel depression, you still accept it as part of a lesson you need to learn, that you are still seeking that which you already are. And therefore means that the moment you accept it, surrender to it, and fully know that there's nothing wrong, but just a lesson that you haven't learned yet, it's unresolved issue, in other words, you begin to love yourself. And then we come to the second one, which is, thy will be done. You see, when we talk about thy will be done, we figure, well, it's God's will, not ours. We keep on separating. This is the problem of being a human body instead of being the soul that you truly are. You keep thinking there's a separation. There is no separation. Thy will be done is not only the source's will, but it's also your will. So ultimately, all you ever want, which is thy will be done, is unconditional love, the truth of you. And when that becomes very clear, then you understand the very nature of free will and how free it really is. Thank you.